ladies and gentlemen. Bharat is the biggest democracy in the world. This has been the distinguishing feature, making us stand head and shoulders above other nations as the largest country of a 1.4 billion population. Here's why. To ensure that nearly 97 crore Indians who are registered as voters can make their voices heard, it is a lengthy, arduous and expensive process to conduct elections in any country, especially when they vote for Lok Sabha polls, parliamentary elections, then state assembly elections, and finally for civic local body polls. Do you know that in 2016, American presidential elections costed $6.5 billion, but the 2019 Lok Sabha elections costed over 55,000 crore rupees, or nearly $8 billion. This is the highest that any nation spends on its election process. Add to this the cost of every state and civic body election that is held. This is in addition to the burden on manpower and resources. In 2019 Lok Sabha elections alone, 50 lakh security personnel and election officers were deployed over 75 long days. And finally, do you know that till 1967, India always had simultaneous elections? This is significant since today a giant leap has been taken by the Modi Sarkar towards their promise of one nation, one poll. A high-level committee chaired by former President Ramnath Kovind submitted its report to President Murmu on conducting simultaneous polls, the efficacy and the advantages. This report, which comprised of more than 18,000 pages and is an outcome of extensive consultations with stakeholders, experts and research work of 191 days, they say that it will ensure consistency and continuity in governance and reduce the burden of expenditure and finances and manpower. But unfortunately, because it is election time and ahead of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, the political narrative has been reduced to Putin Baba and Nalika Kira, while Uddhav Thackeray has expressed fears that simultaneous polls will give the edge to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He says that BJP is conspiring to bring dictatorship almost like Putin is doing in Russia. Congress's Udit Raj went a step further and attacked the panel's chief himself with the Nalika Kira Bab. Listen in to these varying shades of opposition's objections to any reform, in this case, one nation, one election.
400 पारचा नारा देऊन देशाची घटना बदलून हुकुमशाही आणण्याचा यांचा डाव आहे. वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन म्हणजे काय? अजून मुंबई महापालिकेच्या निवडणुका घेत नाहीयेत, अजून काश्मीरच्या निवडणुका घेत नाहीयेत. 5 वर्ष होऊन गेली काश्मीरला. वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन म्हणजे याच्या पुढे फक्त अध्यक्षांची निवडणूक होईल. जशी रशियामध्ये पुतिनची होते तशी हे पुतिन बाबा नवीन तिकडे बसतील आणि संपूर्ण विल्हेवाट लावून टाकतील, पोलिसांची वाट लावतील.
रामनाथ कोविंद जी की बात कर रहा हूं.
जी जी,
मैं सबसे बड़ा कलंक समझता हूं उनको. अगर ये संविधान न होता तो रामनाथ कोविंद जी न होते. वो रामनाथ कोविंद जी और मैं भी, हम लोग नाली के कीड़े थे एक समय में. संविधान की वजह से ऐसा हुआ है. राष्ट्रपति वो कभी बन सकते थे, मैं एमपी कभी बन सकता था, कमिश्नर इनकम टैक्स कभी बन सकता था.
मोदी जी का मकसद क्या है? वन नेशन नो इलेक्शन. वन नेशन नो इलेक्शन वही तो चाहते हैं, वही तो चाह रहे हैं. इसीलिए तो जा रहे हैं. मुझे 400 सीटें दीजिए, मुझे 2/3 बहुमत दीजिए, मैं संविधान बदलूं. संविधान बदलने का उनसे क्या फायदा मिलेगा? वन नेशन नो इलेक्शन.
But why has the Prime Minister been pushing so hard for this entire reform process of one nation, one election? Listen in to this interview that he gave to me in January of 2018 and his reasons for why he was in favor to examine this proposal.
लोकसभा विधानसभा चुनाव साथ होंगे तो मैं समझता हूं कि देश का खर्चा बच जाएगा, समय बच जाएगा. सिक्योरिटी, हमारा देश का लाखों सिक्योरिटी के लोग साल में 100-150 दिन चुनावी व्यवस्थाओं में ही होते हैं जी। जबकि इतना बड़ा देश, इतने बड़े खतरे, इतने बड़े आंदोलन, अगर हम सामान्य मानवीय की सिक्योरिटी के लिए लोग लगाएं कि चुनावी व्यवस्था में लगाएं, अगर एक साथ हो जाता है, और मैं मानता हूं कि डेट फिक्स हो जानी चाहिए लोकसभा विधानसभा के चुनाव एक साथ, उसके 1 महीने के भीतर भीतर स्थानीय निकायों के चुनाव, और फिर जो जहां है वहां 5 साल चलाना। मैंने ऑल पार्टी की हर मीटिंग में विषय उठाया है। मैंने व्यक्तिगत जिन जिन दल के लोगों से बात की, सबने व्यक्तिगत बातचीत में यही करना चाहिए, जल्दी हो जाए तो अच्छा होगा, यही बोलते। मैं 2 वाक्य बोलूं तो 5 बोलते हैं।
This is not the first time that the opposition has fear-mongered in a desperate bid to defeat Modi. When the One Nation, One Poll panel was appointed, Mallikarjun Kharge said that Modi wants democratic India to slowly turn into a dictatorship. After the abrogation of Article 370 in Kashmir and its true integration with India, Priyanka Gandhi said dictatorship is continuing in Jammu and Kashmir for the last 1 year. After the blockade and violence during the Kisan Andolan in 2021, Rahul Gandhi said Kisans have fought the arrogance of a dictatorial leader in a Gandhian way. When Rahul Gandhi was stopped at Hathras in October 2020 due to law and order concerns, Rahul Gandhi once again said in India there is dictatorship now. So every time the opposition wants to vanquish Modi Leher, they have pandered in fear and panic. Not just this, the opposition has also lashed out at the Modi Sarkar over the Citizenship Amendment Act. While this gives a Suraksha coverage to persecuted minorities from neighboring countries, the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal yesterday said that India's tax money is being spent on Pakistanis. Well, these people have been living in India over the last several years, and the last immigrant who might be given this citizenship actually came in 10 long years ago. So what are we talking about Pakistanis here? And this today was countered by Home Minister Amit Shah. Listen in to this war of words.
हमारे बच्चों को रोजगार दिए नहीं जा रहे, पाकिस्तान से लोगों को लाके उनके बच्चों को रोजगार देना चाहते हैं। भारत के तो ढेरों लोग बेघर हैं, लेकिन बीजेपी वाले पाकिस्तान से लोगों को लाके उन्हें भारत में बसाना चाहते हैं, उनको घर देना चाहते हैं। हमारे रोजगार उनके बच्चों को देना चाहते हैं, हमारे हक के घर उनमें पाकिस्तानियों को बसाना चाहते हैं। भारत सरकार का जो सरकारी पैसा हमारे परिवार और देश के विकास पे खर्च होना चाहिए, वो पैसा पाकिस्तानियों को भारत में बसाने पे खर्च किया जाएगा।
पहले टाइमिंग की बात करता हूं
जी।
सारे विपक्षी दल, ओवैसी हो, राहुल गांधी जी हो, या अरविंद केजरीवाल हो, या ममता जी हो, ये झूठ की राजनीति कर रहे हैं। इसलिए टाइमिंग का महत्व नहीं है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने 2019 में अपने घोषणा पत्र में कहा है कि हम CAA लेकर आएंगे और पाकिस्तान, अफगानिस्तान और बांग्लादेश के जो शरणार्थी है उनको नागरिकता देंगे। तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का एजेंडा बहुत स्पष्ट है और वो एजेंडे के आधार पर हमें बहुमत मिला है।
So ladies and gentlemen, the legitimate question that we're asking on the Newshour tonight, is fear-mongering the only weapon to fight Modi? That's the question, and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Joining the debate tonight, Gaurav Bhatia, national spokesperson of the BJP, also senior advocate in the Supreme Court, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, scientist, political commentator, Dr. Akashdeep Muni, political analyst, Tausif Ahmed, the lawyer and political analyst, supports the Trinamool Congress, Sajid Supariwala, leader of the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray group. But my first question goes to Dr. Sanjay Jha, author, suspended Congress leader. And Sanjay Jha, every time there is a reform on the anvil, Article 370 abrogation, GST, new farm laws, which were part of even the Congress's manifesto, CAA, and now It's just the recommendation of a committee set up, the one nation, one poll. Every time, the only objection, the only theme that the opposition has is dictatorship ho gaya ji. Constitution has gone, down the tube. Why is this fear-mongering necessary? I want to ask you, do you think a country like ours can afford elections that cost us $8 billion every single time? And $8 billion is the cost of only the Lok Sabha polls. Add to it the assembly polls, the local body polls, the security forces being transported up and down, electoral officials being appointed, sent here and there. Do you not think it's time for looking at least at the efficacy of governance models and also looking at saving cost in a country as large as ours?
Navika, this is a very serious subject, and I think it deserves a very thorough discussion and examination. I want to address all the points that you have raised. Point number one, you're right that we spent approximately 60,000 crores in the 2019 general elections. But here is the truth. The truth is the election expenditure of the Election Commission in holding the election would not be more than maybe around 4,000 crores. The rest of it is electoral bonds, tainted money, and the rest is black money. This is why I'm saying we are missing the woods for the trees. The money that we are talking about is basically spent by political parties and candidates, where, for a Lok Sabha, the limit is 90 lakhs, they spend 30 crores, and that multiplied becomes a huge scam. So the 60,000 crores that you're talking about is not the Election Commission expenditure. It is the money spent by political parties and candidates, which is electoral bonds, which is tainted and corrupt. By the way, a reform apparently bought by the Modi government. And the second bigger issue that we haven't even crossed the bridge on is the black money, the cash which is used by political parties to win. I want to make two short points here for you. I think the problem, Navika, is that this government is constantly keeping the people hoodwinked. We are talking about reforming and, one nation, one election, blah, blah. We can get into the discussion in a while. But the truth is today, people are concerned about free and fair elections in India. Look at the constitution of the Election Commission, which itself is now a matter which is being challenged because the Modi government wants its own puppets, its own bureaucrats and politicians to actually manage the election.
And you didn't appoint any in your time, Dr. Sanjay Jha. The UPA government was actually completely divine, came from the heavens. It is only the NDA government, the BJP Sarkar, which is a Sarkar which is tainted. आप 1100 करोड़ ले ले, वो tainted नहीं है, लेकिन 6000 करोड़ BJP को गया electoral bond से, that is tainted. Well, I think.
Give me 30 seconds to wrap my argument. So we are talking about a one nation, one election, the usual hoodwink of the Modi government at a time when people are doubting the Election Commission's integrity, when people are concerned about electoral bond and political funding. We are actually deeply concerned that the Election Commission is not even entertaining a request to have a paper trail to reconcile with an EVM. Serious issues that you cannot ignore. And therefore, my short point on the one nation, one election. You know why I'm worried? I support the Congress, which is a national party, but I will tell you why I'm worried. If you have one nation, one election, it favors national parties. It works against the interests of regional parties. Because just take an example.
Okay, all right. Your 3.5 minutes expired now. Now I'll have to get in the others. Otherwise, this will be, a memorial lecture that we will have to memorize for a long time. But let me get in Gaurav Bhatia. Gaurav Bhatia, it's not a question, and that's where I began. It's not only about one nation, one election. It is about any reform, any change from the beaten track, and the Congress, the opposition just comes up and says, dictatorship aa gaya, Putin aa gaya, India is not going to be the same again, constitution is in danger, democracy is in danger. I think about 19 years ago was the first one to break when Times Now was launched as a channel about an election commissioner appointed by the UPA Sarkar. And you know who that election commissioner was, Sanjay Jha. He used to take MP lad funds from Congress MPs and other MPs and was running his own NGO even when he was appointed as election commissioner. But that was not something that destroyed the constitution or raised any questions about the non-partiality of the election commission. All these questions have only come to the fore now because Mr. Modi is in the position of the Prime Minister of this country. Isn't that right, Gaurav Bhatia?
Navika, let me start by the golden words that have been said by Narendra Modi ji. And he said, "One nation, one poll" has become an article of faith for him. But today, it's not only an article of faith for Shri Narendra Modi ji. It is the need of the hour. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity that a strong democracy like India and the citizenry is waiting for. So, first, I want to say that, a step in the right direction. And I would first stick to the topic of the discussion. It's a very exhaustive exercise that has been undertaken. A special committee that is constituted under the chairmanship of a former President Ramnath Kovind ji, who happens to be a lawyer, Harish Salve, an eminent jurist himself, Subhash Kashyap ji, who is well versed with parliamentary procedures, and Amit Shah ji is part of the committee, and I must say even Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary ji was part of the committee, but he withdrew. What does it show? To the citizens, it shows that whenever there is a major reform, the Congress will never make any constructive suggestions, will not participate in a change. Rather, it will only oppose such moves. And that is why you rightly said, oppose everything that Narendra Modi ji does. Article 370 abrogated. Would the Congress party come out today and say, though they will not come to power, but if they ever come to power, they will again reinstate Article 370? No, Navika, they will not. But they had to oppose Article 370. GST, one nation, one tax. They opposed. They did not even attend the special session held in the parliament.
Congress.
CAA, they are opposing it again, which is in the interest of the country. Please do not speak in between, Navika. You will have to ensure that any motor mouth who tries to interrupt me is also given a notice not to interrupt me in between. So the point here is, वो एक पिक्चर का डायलॉग था जिसमें वो कहता है, मैं क्राइम मास्टर गोगो हूं, आया हूं तो कुछ तो लूट के जाऊंगा. कांग्रेस के लिए कहा जा रहा है, मैं कांग्रेस हूं, अगर मैं संसद में आऊंगी तो कुछ तो अपोज करूंगी, चाहे वो सेंट्रल विस्टा प्रोजेक्ट हो, चाहे वो आर्टिकल 370 हो, सीए हो, या उसके अलावा कोई भी ऐसा रिफॉर्म हो जो नरेंद्र मोदी जी ला रहे हैं. नाउ आई वांट टू आल्सो मेक अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट.
Navika, 2 points.
Previous bodies that have recommended one nation, one poll. Do you know? 170th Law Commission report in 1999 stated we need one nation, one poll. 255th Law Commission report in 2015 recommended the same. 1983 Election Commission of India also recommended that. Now this committee is recommending. But here comes the opposition, from whom? Congress I have mentioned. Do you know, Navika, Akhilesh Yadav also in 2018 had said that, I am for one nation, one poll. What has changed that he has taken a U-turn? Uddhav Thackeray was also supporting, he has taken a U-turn. The reason is simple, they lack clarity and they can't rise to the occasion when the country needs them to contribute positively. My last point, Navika, is this. When they say dictatorship, they say Narendra Modi ji is a dictator. I strongly refute the charge, but I will give 3 instances when Narendra Modi ji has used Constitution of India for the welfare of the people. Constitutional Amendment, Article 370 abrogated, good for the sovereignty of a country. Okay. Second, EWS, reservation introduced, 10%, empowering the poor. Women reservation introduced by Narendra Modi ji, amending the Constitution, empowering the women. Now tell me who's the dictator? Somebody who invoked the emergency,
or a prime minister who's amending the constitution
All right.
to take the country forward.
Introductory remarks by both Sanjay Jha and Gaurav Bhatia. My question is, the biggest thing that has changed is actually the fact that the NDA alliance has broken away and some parties have gone to the other side, which is why Akhilesh Yadav, now part of the India alliance, feels that he must go with the others and oppose one nation, one poll. So what if his party in the parliamentary committee supported it? On the other hand, parties like the BRS, Modi hai, oppose karna hai, we supported it in parliament, but we will oppose it outside. My question is, 75 years, and that is the real question, Sanjay Jha. 75 years, you wanted status quo. The fact is, somebody's thinking out of the box. And you are opposing all that you stood for in the past. GST, Congress wanted it, but opposed it when the BJP got it passed. 370 was supposed to be done by the Congress, never had time to go back, revisit, let it continue status quo for so long. Again on election commission, electoral bonds, 1100 crore rupees you pocket and then call it tainted. My friend, then you are leader of the pack as far as tainted money is concerned. And election commission pe lecture is a bit much. That I can't take. You know, Manohar Singh Gill, great guy. I used to know him as a secretary, agriculture secretary to the government of India. He suddenly became election commissioner. After he finished his tenure at the election commission, he came back, became a Rajya Sabha member and a minister in the UPA government. But that is free and fair elections. Only if the BJP chooses somebody, then they are close to the BJP. You know, Sanjay Jha, even to you, this might sound extremely contrived and hypocritical.
No, I will, Navika, I heard you. I will agree with some of the stuff that you have said. I'm not saying that everything that happened in the past was hunky-dory, but there are 2 points that I wish to make. BJP has made, I think, Indian democracy into a joke. And these are the words of the Supreme Court Chief Justice, who said murder of democracy and mockery of democracy. This is what the Honorable Chief Justice had to say when the BJP, shameless to the core, brazen to the core, in the Chandigarh mayor election, with the cameras on, they tried to fraud it. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court said this is a murder of democracy. Gaurav Bhatia ने मुझे मोटर माउथ कहा, 10 मिनट बोला, लेकिन मुद्दों पर तो बात ही नहीं किया. ये तो डर के मारे भाग गया, डरपोक हुआ. देखिए, प्रिंसिपल इशू क्या है? प्रिंसिपल इशू, नाविका जी, ये है कि आज अशोक लवासा का आप एग्जांपल देख लीजिए. He was due to be the chief election commissioner. He resigned, and his family got raided. His family got raided by the BJP.
मैं आपको गंजू
तो जरा
क्या कहूं कि कांग्रेस
Gaurav Bhatia ji, you are a senior advocate. Let's not bring the level of the debate.
Why is he making a personal comment?
Yeah, don't make personal comments, Sanjay Jha.
Who started it?
Sanjay Jha, no personal comment.
आपने कहा, हमने बोला कि आप डरपोक हैं.
मैं बोलूं, मैं कहूं दलाल कांग्रेस के है, मैं आपको दलाल कांग्रेस का बुलाऊं तो अच्छा लगेगा आपको? नहीं, तो मर्यादा बनाए रखिए.
जो पैसा दिया है वो तो मालूम हो जाएगा कुछ दिन में, चिंता मत कीजिए भाटिया जी.
नहीं,
वो आपका भी मालूम हो जाएगा. सिर्फ उनका थोड़ी मालूम चलेगा, आपका भी मालूम चलेगा. आपका भी मालूम चलेगा, डॉक्टर संजय झा.
I can raise certain points.
Certainly. And let me get in Anand Ranganathan. Anand Ranganathan, Sanjay Jha says, murder of democracy said by the Supreme Court. ये तो पहली बार कहा गया है. Agreed that particular episode is rather embarrassing for the BJP, and it was struck down rightly by the Supreme Court, and you know, we all stand corrected in the democracy that such brazenness cannot go on. But the Congress party, इनके बारे में murder of democracy कभी नहीं कहा गया है.
Meant for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Navika, please let me make it very clear. I watched the proceedings. I was present there.
Yeah, true, but the Supreme Court struck it down.
It wasn't meant for the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Okay.
Yeah, so rightly so. We welcome the judgment. Rightly so.
Okay. All right.
It wasn't an indictment of the BJP, please.
Gaurav ji,
Okay, it was an indictment
the facts
for
right.
the electoral officer who was certainly not encouraged by the BJP. If you want everybody to believe that,
Turning over.
well,
Yes.
the form can be correct, but let's Gaurav Bhatia, at least not stand on pretenses here. But Anand Ranganathan, murder of democracy has never happened in Congress's time.
We welcome the judgment of the Supreme Court. Did you hear a word
Emergency.
against the Supreme Court judgment, Navika?
Okay, Gaurav. I've noted your point, and our viewers have noted the point. I said it was embarrassing, and it was truly embarrassing. You're not embarrassed about it. It had nothing to do with you. It's a stand you're most welcome to take. But I'm saying that it was an embarrassing election of the mayor that happened. But when Sanjay Jha says that murder of democracy happened only because of this verdict of the Supreme Court against what he says is an indictment of the BJP, Congress has always come out, squeaky white and clean from Supreme Court and other courts of the country. Anand Ranganathan, वो दिख नहीं रहा है संजय झा को. Can you please enlighten our viewers about that?
couple of points here, नाविका. पहले तो एक जमाना था जब कभी-कभी मैं शुरू में सबसे पहले आप बुलाती थी बोलने के लिए, तो सिर्फ मुद्दे पे बोलता था. अब जब आधे घंटे बाद टर्न आती है तो लोगों की हिपोक्रेसी भी एक्सपोज करनी पड़ती है. और आपके फेवरेट संजय झा जी हैं, उनकी हिपोक्रेसी जो सबसे पहले बोलते हैं, तो मैं 2-3-30 सेकंड ले लूं उनकी हिपोक्रेसी एक्सपोज करने में. नंबर 1, when he talks about electoral bonds as a slap on democracy, anonymity of it, he doesn't disclose that the Congress had 10% of its funding through the same anonymous electoral bond. So who's been hypocritical there? Number 2, when he talks about the election commission and the elections to that being, shamelessly an affront to democracy, he doesn't disclose that for de facto for 70 years, under the Congress regime, the chief election commissioner and the election commissioners were chosen by the Prime Minister of India. This is not just me saying it. It is the ex-chief election commissioner, Mr. Qureshi, no friend of Mr. Modi, who said it just 2-3 days ago. The fact of the matter is, even I have said that, yes, the Supreme Court Chief Justice should have been one of the parties in addition to the Prime Minister and the Leader of Opposition, but be that as it may, how is the current disposition for choosing the CEC any worse than what the Congress used to do? Remember, they chose Mr. Naveen Chawla as one of the CEC who was indicted by the Shah Commission for excesses in the emergency. And you just named a couple of other CECs who were severely tainted. Number 2. Number 3. To extrapolate what happened in a mayoral election in Chandigarh, which had a ballot, not an electronic voting machine, to extrapolate it to 700 million Indians voting for the general elections and 300 million Indians again voting for the state election, and saying that the democracy has died, is typical Congress. So now that I have exposed this, can I please come back to the issue? Navika, I'll be very honest with you. My mind isn't completely made up, because there are pros and cons about this one election and holding the state and the general in one place. The advantages you have stated yourself. Saving money, for example, 60,000 crores is spent only on the Lok Sabha election, and the state election combined maybe the same amount. So in excess of 1 lakh crores we spend on elections. Now all that administrative capabilities that are used are to be used only once. Distinct advantages versus them being used continuously 5 years round. So yes. What are the cons? Now, IDFC Institute conducted a survey, and the results were very interesting. What they found, in combination with Niti Aayog, by the way, what they found out was that 80% of the cases, the respondents said that they would vote for the same party at the state at which they have voted for the national. And by the way, let me tell you, even out here, for Congress to opt out of this commission that is looking at one election all year round, general and state, for 20 years under the Congress until 1968, the elections were held simultaneously. In 1983, the Election Commission under the Congress regime recommended this. In 1998, was recommended, as Gaurav correctly said. So the point of the matter is, one can wear both ways. I have to say, tilting towards having simultaneous elections, but it is also a fact that we are a very emotional people. If there is one mudda that comes along that is a national level, it may actually skew things heavily in the favor of the state elections, also people choosing what they have chosen at the national level. So
There are pros, there are cons, but I am tilting towards having simultaneous election.
Well, but let me get in Sajid Supariwala, leader of the Uddhav Thackeray segment of the Shiv Sena. And I want to ask you, today Uddhav Thackeray has a problem with the BJP's brand of Hindutva. He calls it Gaumutra Hindutva. He has a problem with the brand of Narendra Modi, who he calls Putin-like dictator. What has suddenly happened, except the fact that the BJP refused to support him as a chief minister because they said no promises were made, and he said there was a promise and they parted ways. Other than that, what has changed? But suddenly the same Modi who you were in alliance with for donkey's years, the same BJP you were in alliance with, is suddenly become persona non grata. It's a party which has become an untouchable. And you, as the Hindutva kings, now suddenly call Hindutva of the BJP brand as the Gaumutra Hindutva. So who's changing, you or the BJP?
First and foremost, let me reply to your first question about lying or the truth. Always it has been consistently always been told by us, and Uddhav Sahib will never lie for this. It has always been, we'll have to go back again 2.5 years of each CM was decided, and that is not a lie. Nobody will keep on lying for a long time, and the truth prevails every time. Secondly, when you are talking about, see, all the people who I've heard today are talking about Modi government, Modi government, Modi government. Why aren't we calling it the BJP party? We are always calling it the Modi party. This shows that a person of that level has gone to that level that people on his own party is calling it the Modi government, the Modi party. Wherever you see the marketing is done as Modi, Modi, Modi. Why not the BJP? Have they changed their name to Modi? Secondly, you're talking about the constitution being compromised. Yes, it would get compromised if only today I've come here on the debate as a Shiv Sena from UBT. One thing I would like to tell you, today I'm coming because right now my democracy is very much alive. Tomorrow I don't know what is going to happen to our country, our nation, that we will be called for debates also or not. There will be no opposition. The Putin way they want to go.
You don't have to worry. I will invite you every day so long as your party decides not to boycott me. You have to take the decision not to boycott me, and democracy will live happily ever after. The problem is that you people have become intolerant, my friend. Democracy will survive, India will survive. You have become intolerant. CAA brought in something that you supported, अरे भाई dictatorship हो गई. GST brought in, अरे भाई dictatorship हो गई. Vaccination, COVID vaccine being given, dictatorship हो गई.
Give me 50 seconds. Give me 50 seconds. The great Balasaheb Thackeray, the late Balasaheb Thackeray, welcomed the BJP to Maharashtra. It is not, he was also always an accommodating person, and rightfully his son, Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray, is doing the same way. He has welcomed BJP with both hands. He was agreeing to the 2.5 years of term for each CM of each party, but BJP backed out at the nth moment. Otherwise, this debate...
Gaurav Bhatia is responding. Gaurav Bhatia, please respond to Mr. Sajid Supariwala.
Yeah, Sajid has very eloquently spelt out that we have Modi, and why are we taking his name? I think it's a very proud moment for any BJP leader or a worker to say that we have Modi.
We are not, you are not even having the strength to call it a BJP party.
Navika,
you are calling it the Modi party.
Navika request.
Yes, go on,
Navika
Gaurav.
request.
Gaurav, go on.
Navika, yes, thank you, Navika. So, Navika, it's a proud feeling for every citizen, every worker and leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party that we have a leader like Narendra Modi ji, whose acceptance in India is the highest, and he is the tallest leader in the world today. But I would just like to tell Mr. Sanjay Jha, he was talking about murder of democracy, and this is the
Mr. Supariwala, now you can't interrupt. Every sentence you cannot interrupt, Mr. Supariwala. I gave you enough time. He is responding to you. Please hold on. Yes, Gaurav.
Yes. So, Navika, I want to really place some facts for what Sanjay has said. Do you know what murder of democracy is? Let me illustrate. Constitutional and statutory bodies that were brutally murdered by the Congress regime. Let me start by CVC. Do you know, under the UPA government, the CVC KV Thomas was removed by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. That has never happened in the BJP regime. Election Commission of India, you spoke about MS Gill. Naveen Chawla's name was referred to by Anandji. But I would add to that, Gopalaswamy, who was the predecessor, had given a report that Naveen Chawla should not be appointed as CEC. That report was rubbished by the Congress and he was appointed because he was close to the Gandhi Parivar. RBI governor, 2 RBI governors under the Congress government resigned because of the political pressure in 1957 and 1975. CBI was called a caged parrot by none other than the Supreme Court of India. CGI, do you know, in independent India's history, there are only 2 occasions when a junior Supreme Court judge has superseded a senior Supreme Court judge. Both have happened under the Congress regime. And then Indira Gandhi invokes emergency. President of India, Gyani Zail Singh, made the infamous comment कि अगर राजीव गांधी ने कहा तो मैं झाड़ू भी लगाने के लिए तैयार हूं. The preamble was amended by Indira Gandhi under the 42nd Amendment. And freedom of speech, Article 19 that they talk about, was first amended by Jawaharlal Nehru. And Article 356 was misused more than 90 times by Congress regime to dismiss elected governments. This is the track record, and then they talk about murder of democracy. And I challenge you, Mr. Sanjay Jha, one judgment of the Supreme Court if you could show where the Supreme Court has held that Narendra Modi ji has not adhered to the oath of the Constitution that he has taken. Thank you.
Sanjay Jha, I'll come to you, but there are 2 panelists who have still not spoken. So please, let's follow some democracy here. And let me get in Dr. Akashdeep Muni. Dr. Akashdeep Muni, Arvind Kejriwal के तो ढंग ही निराले हैं. पाकिस्तानियों को नौकरी दी जा रही हैं. Do you know these people who are refugees who are living in India for the last several years are only being regularized through the CAA? Which Pakistani is being given a job over here? And what about the various Bangladeshis who have come and settled in various parts of the country during the Congress regime, the Trinamool Congress regime? Unka koi hisab kitab nahi hai because you are in an alliance with them. So anything and everything in the name of murder of democracy, fear-mongering will go on. CAA, भाई देश खत्म होने वाला है. Constitution has become discriminatory. Constitution is being destroyed. Article 370, Constitution destroyed. Modi dictator. How many times are you going to say this? I want to ask you, where is the democracy within the Aam Aadmi Party? Is it not a Kejriwal show from top to bottom?
Okay, Navika ji, thank you. You have given me a time. Let me respond to you. First of all, in the initial comments you said about the population of the US spending in USA and India. The population of USA is 33 crores, while in India it's 140 crores. So comparing the spending in US and India does not really have any base.
Would you want to compare the GDPs
second point
also?
Is that regarding the
GDP number of poor, you want to compare, or you only compare it when you have to target the Prime Minister?
The last migrant did not come 10 years ago. It came 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Even now they are coming as per your reporters who are on ground today protesting against those people who are protesting against Kejriwal's house. Third point, what Gaurav Bhatia ji said, that Anil Masih was not from BJP. Anil Masih was from BJP. He was a leader of BJP and he conducted murder of democracy. So BJP member conducted murder of democracy as per the Honorable Supreme. Now coming back to one election, one nation, one. Now I want to tell you my first point, that the basic structure of the Constitution as enshrined in the 13-member bench of Supreme Court, the Keshavanand Bharati case, where they have said that basic structure of the Constitution cannot be changed in this particular feature where issues of state and center will be reached out to the consumers at the same time. It will be moreover a presidential form of government, not a parliamentary form of government. So this law won't stand in the court of law. First. Second point is that if there is a coalition government and the coalition government loses the power and mandate, then the coalition government falls. But in this particular case, if one nation, one law comes, it will be continuing for the next 3 years. So like in 2013, the Delhi government, like it fell, and then in 2015 there was election. It won't happen in this particular case. And that dangerous part, which I want to stress today, is there is in this notification, you can read it, and there is something called constructive vote of no confidence, which says that
Navika,
in there is anti-defection law will, no wait, give me 10 seconds more. That anti-defection law will end, like in this particular case, like the speaker is chosen, in that way, the prime minister or chief minister will be chosen. So there will be, if the government falls, other party governments can buy other party MLAs, MPs, and horse trading will be legalized.
A law will be made only when it is passed by the parliament. The law or the draft of the act has not even been put forth. But of course, everybody has jumped the gun and decided dictatorship is coming. Tausif Khan, I'm coming to you, Gaurav Bhatia and Anand Ranganathan. But Tausif Khan, very briefly, I want to ask you, which regional party does not run a dictatorship in our country? I want to ask you, Mamata Banerjee, isn't she the undisputed leader of a party? Does any internal democracy actually run in the Trinamool Congress or in the Congress party or in the Samajwadi party or in any of the in DMK? Baap, beta, bete ka beta, that's the manner in which it goes. I want to ask you, suddenly any reform that's taken about, and I'm not even going into the details of the one nation, one election. I'm just saying anything, any change, 370, GST, everything, you come out and you say, ye to dictatorship hai, ye to dictatorship hai. How can you say that?
Navika, we can obviously say that, we have to say that, because this term, fear-mongering, is peddled by the BJP media cell to all the media houses, and that is what you use for everyone who comes forward with their views, which opposes the view of the Modi government. They call them, this is fear-mongering. Every time, even now, you have started the debate because BJP is calling every opposition leader, they are doing fear-mongering. Well, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that is the motto, one nation, one election. Right. With that, Narendra Modi government wants to achieve the only party to be blamed
for this?
For three ex-chief justices have opposed it. 3 ex-chief justices have opposed it. The former
all right, Tausif, I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time. Anand Ranganathan, 30 seconds. 30 seconds, Anand Ranganathan.
Navika, let me give you live example of this so-called fear-mongering that Tausif Bhai was saying is a figment of our imagination. What Mr. Arvind Kejriwal said yesterday is so despicable, it's just embarrassing to even repeat it. Let alone peddle shameless lie that 2 or 3 crore refugees would be suddenly descending on India. It's a complete lie, because CAA is an amnesty and not more than 10,000 or others are now going to be given citizenship. Leave aside that. He actually shamelessly insinuated that those refugees who would be coming to India, Hindus, Sikhs and Christians, are rapists and criminals. He said rapes and crime would increase when they come here. How dare he say such a thing? Did he say such a thing for Rohingyas when they came in droves? He was giving them free electricity and water, settling them illegally, wanting to have EWS.
Absolutely. And when Udit Raj comes and says, Kovind aur main nali ke keede hi rehte, is he undermining the empowerment of the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes who have been brought into the mainstream with successive governments working very hard to do that? Is this a victim card that's pulled out ever so often, just somehow or the other to target Prime Minister Modi. Gaurav Bhatia, I'm completely out of time, but I'll end this debate at this point saying that yes, it is fear-mongering, and the fact that this is a live and kicking democracy is very evident just from the debate that we are holding. And every night, night after night, it is the opposition parties that boycott us, not us who are stopping them from coming on this platform. So who is intolerant and who is anti-democratic? Well, I leave that judgment to the people of this country and our viewers. Thank you very much to panelists joining me on debate number 1.